All right, we're broadcasting live. It is Wednesday, August 25th. Unbelievable. It is almost Digital 360 Summit time. We are barely 6 days away from the most amazing event ever. And you guys will have to join us to bear witness to that. But before we get rolling today, let me ask our own Dr. John Butler to give us a little tune to get in the mood. John?
If you get the feeling all alone, when your good time friends have all got up and gone, don't come knocking around my door, because I've heard your lines before.
Excellent. Excellent, Johnny.
Bravo, bravo.
John, how are you doing today?
Of course, if that were all we were to hear from Dr. Butler, we'd be ahead of the game.
Absolutely. I am doing
go.
fine. I'm sitting at my office for the first time at McCombs School of Business in a year plus.
Classes are on. Are you teaching?
My classes are on. I had my first tech transfer class, MBA class this morning at 11 o'clock with 40 students, all masked up. Everybody excited to understand how to create wealth and how to do these things. And the campus is a buzz with students. It's very interesting. And you turn on the, you go to your computer and it's everywhere. The elementary schools are breaking out. And so we're starting now. And it looks like, of course, it's the very, very young this time. But the students are coming from all over the world. So it will be very, very interesting as we try to negotiate school. Yeah. But Austin is great. It's a wonderful day. It's a wonderful day. The day is wonderful. The air is wonderful. The city is wonderful. It's just great.
Excellent. Johnny, thank you. Llewelyn, how are you doing today? How is the weather? How's everything?
I'm doing fabulously. I missed the worst of the hurricane because Linda and I were in Philadelphia, and we came back yesterday on the Amtrak train. No damage in our apartment. Some water came in that Linda had prophylactically put some towels out, knowing where the leak was, and we're untouched.
Excellent. Excellent. And we have our great guest, Hernando Parrott. Hernando, how are you, sir?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here. We every time that we can, we continue to reach out to exciting companies that are building great technology and driving the digital transformation. And today is no different. We are, lucky enough to have Hernando join us. Hernando is really the president of North America for a company called Open International that we're going to learn about today some. And they have actually a product called Open Smartflex, among others. And this product in particular is very interesting, I think, to me and others. It's a comprehensive system that integrates the customer care, customer billing, and customer field service operation processes under one modular multi-service product platform. Hernando is, a long-term high-tech pioneer. Prior to Open International, he was a senior vice president and CTO at Consensus Corp, VP of Business Development and Director of Product Development at Open International, and then a maintenance director at ProPal SA. He's actually a educated Latin speaking gentleman from the Universidad de los Andes in electrical engineering and physics. Welcome, Hernando.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, gentlemen, as you know, the world keeps changing dramatically in many ways. I am thinking that we are lucky that we have a exciting time in front of us. The markets are looking strong. I think in many ways the economy seems to be rebounding. The jobs, we're only 8 million jobs away from the highs of the jobs that we had under the Trump administration. So a recovery is happening. However, there are some things that are kind of glooming, potential conflicts internationally looming, that who knows what's going to happen. The whole China chip on the shoulder thing is not good. Some folks are worrying about that. But I think that, internally, we're having our annual event next week, 300 people or so in person with masks. School is on nationwide. Llewelyn, what do you think? Where are we? The economy, COVID, the balance, where are we?
We're kind of in the middle, and I think you got it right. There are a lot of worries, and there are bright spots. The brightest spot is, in fact, the evolution of technology. There are just more tools in human hands today than there ever have been, and there's better medicine than there ever has been. On the other hand, social issues continue to be a worry. A lot of people are going to lose their rent protection and be thrown out in the street, which is not going to be a pretty sight and which is going to have a huge impact politically. So that's a big worry. We have the catastrophe, and I use that word advisedly, in the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Somehow our intelligence failed, our planning failed, our anticipation failed, our structure failed. If it could fail, it would fail, and it did fail. It is an embarrassment, and there is a terrible human price. We also are seeing very terrible weather that is going to affect the economy. The weather in the West with the droughts, the lack of water, is already pushing up prices at the grocery store. It's taken a while for this to sink in on people that what affects the West affects the East as well. So we're going to have a very bumpy ride with some delightfully alleviating factors. Presumably at our conference next week, we'll hear more about the alleviating factors, primarily the technological revolution, but the human condition remains, I might say, troubled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John, what do you think? Are we turning a corner here? Are we still on the cautious lane? What's going on, John?
It's very interesting. It's very interesting because of what I call the compartmentalization of thought in America. Isn't it interesting how we can have a military catastrophe going on across the world? On the other hand, football season is starting. The economy is coming back. And, there is, with all of the connectivity that we have with, as Llewelyn would say, all of the tools, we are still disconnected in a lot of ways. We're disconnected in the sense that we can compartmentalize what's going on. It's sort of like, as long as the war is going on and I have nothing to do with it, I just don't ever think about it. As long as these things are happening, you just don't think about it. It's the same way with the job. So the compartmentalization of the thought process of Americans is fascinating to me. On the one hand, in the news media, we go from the virus, we go to the military stuff, we go to the economy that's really, really coming back. So the crisis is not a crisis of consciousness that's shared by all. It is a crisis of people dividing things into compartments and dealing with them. So that's the first thing. If you look at the economy is doing pretty good. If you look at job growth, as you noted, it is doing good. If you look at the spirit of America, it is also divided. It's divided among families and kids and all kinds of things. So we try to have a common experience, but the experience now is very, very uncommon. And for families, as Llewelyn would say, who are about to get kicked out of their rental apartments, to families in Austin, Texas, where the housing boom is just booming. So on the one hand, we have the dichotomy of the rent crisis. On the other hand, people are bidding up houses by hundreds of thousands of dollars. So all of these outcomes tell you that America is very large. We all have great experiences. We all have different experiences. But we don't have now, as we had a collective experience after World War II, after World War I, where there's a collective consciousness about what we are doing. It's almost like individualism has arrived in the face of all of the problems, quote, that we're having. Because in many ways, if we look at some cities in America, I mean, the person who has to move out, the rent, that's a problem. On the other hand, the housing market is up. So I think there's a bifurcation going on. I think it's very, very interesting. And I do not think that the news media has brought us together. I do not think that reporting has brought us together. You look at the nightly news, it's the same thing. It's the compartmentalization of the American life with no national conscience. But on the other hand, we've always had different problems in America. Yeah. And we've always come through with new business models and new ways of doing things.
Yeah. Hernando, you work for Open International, and maybe you can tell us real quick about Open International, but I'm curious what are your thoughts about COVID? Has it changed your business? What do you guys learn from it? And what is the economy and the outlook looks like for the rest of the year?
Those are great questions, Andres, and very challenging times. I don't recall, in more than 50 years of existence, living something like this. Everything is happening so fast. We are seeing the world, and nobody could predict that. And I was, checking what the economists were predicting just 18 months ago on what's going to happen, and everybody felt in several magnitudes. So everything is happening so fast. I think we need to live by the day, and with all these challenges that we're seeing in the supply chain, in the healthcare system, the polarization, and the different views that everybody's having, I think we choose to be optimistic and do things. The only thing that can change that are the things that you do, and having to impact people around us in the company, our customers, and look at this as the most positive way that we can. So that is in general. And to your question, we're doing great. Probably this year is going to be our greatest year ever in 34 years. And to be honest with you, last year by this time, we couldn't anticipate that to happen, just right on what I was saying. And it's been the confluence of things. Our customers, mostly the utilities, and our customers are utilities or telecommunication companies. They have to deal with new challenges, and they are asking us to help them more with things that they used to do. So on the professional services side, we are extremely busy. And also there's been a lot of transformation in the sector. And that is giving us the opportunity also to have new customers. So at the end, it's been good. We're busy, we're growing, and trying to continue. It's been probably the hardest challenge is to be focused and concentrated on the right things to do with all these distractions. But kind of we are learning how to manage that and keep bringing innovation with our product, doing things, and trying. The challenge is to keep everybody together and focus on those challenging times.
Yeah. Tell me real quick, or tell us real quick, and fascinating that we get validation that COVID is accelerating digitalization, and you guys are having a great year because everybody's buying more of what you're selling. So tell us what it is that you guys sell. I briefly went over it, but walk us through what utilities are using this. Give us some examples, and and how do you make everybody's lives better, easier?
All right. So what we do is software to manage the critical process, mission critical process for utilities. So what we call the magic triangle is connect the metering with the customers and with the workforce. So this is what we do. So we basically are a customer care and billing system in the heart that extends to the metering side. So we connect directly to the AMI infrastructure, or we get reads from typical meters. We do all the rating and billing aggregation, and manage all the customer transactions and customer management, and all the workforce as well. So if you see it in the terms that the industry acknowledges, is a customer information system that has modules for meter data management and mobile workforce management. A powerful customer engagement platform to manage all the interactions with the customers.
Got it. And can you share one or two utilities that use it by name?
Yeah, absolutely. Companies that here we are just starting our ways into North America. We started a couple of years ago, and we have our first two customers in Oregon, company called Tualatin Valley District, and a company called Clean Water Services. Those are our first two implementations here in the US. And along of over the rest of the world, we have customers in 19 countries. So companies that probably will not be recognized here in the US, but are, in most of the cases, the largest utilities or telecommunication companies down there. Companies like EPM in Medellin is probably our largest utility, one company with 2.5 million customers, managing electricity, gas, water, and financial services. Telecom Argentina, which is the largest telecommunications country in Argentina with about 20 million customers. They handle all their cable TV operations and billing with our applications. Claro in Central America, 5 countries using our product. The gas companies that in aggregate in Colombia and Peru are 8 companies with about 4 million customers. So we've been, Andres, John, and Llewelyn in the utilities business for 34 years as a company, only doing that.
Interesting, very interesting. So John, they collect a lot of data. You're muted, and I wonder how they help their customers with all that data. Would you like some of that data, John?
I would like some of that data. It reminds me of Bazaar Voice that started here in Austin. But what I find interesting is that the data would be absolutely wonderful. Given the movement toward automation all of these years, and the whole idea of data moving by themselves and automation, how have you handled automation in your industry, which has really been kind of delaying itself in terms of automation, or making the grid edge automated and those kinds of things? Look like you've been around a long time. So how do you handle the old technology of the grid, is what I'm saying?
Well, the old technology, that is the easy part, because that has been figured out. The challenge is how to really make that transparent for the business, and how to get all this data to be productive. So if you see a utility company at the end, the way that service provider can live is through automation, because you have on one end all the pressures to reduce usage. As Llewelyn was saying, on the West Coast, the companies have to incentivize the customers to use less water, less electricity. That means less money for them. And on the flip side, you have that all the costs for materials, technology, people are increasing. So the only way that the companies can really stay in the market is to be through automation and efficiency. So taking that into what we do, this is the foundation of our system. Our system, what tries to do is to be a flexible platform to bring automation to the companies. So it's a system that learns as it is being used. So we have rules-based technology. That means that once the system is installed and it's running, the system will be learning, and the users will teach the system things to do, how to automate things that at the beginning probably were not. So technologies are changing. As you mentioned, you have a lot of static data. You have a lot of devices that were not smart when they were the system was there, but after with the time are producing more data, so you can create the rules to automate processes with this data, suggest new best actions with this data. So this is what is inside. So it's really fascinating, and this is where the potential is.
So I know that Llewelyn
That's
always talk. Go ahead, Johnny.
No, I think it's very, very interesting, given the combination, quote unquote, of technologies that you deal with in the different kinds of deliverables. It's very interesting to integrate them in a systematic way that produces so much great data.
Correct.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Llewelyn.
Hernando, can you give us some specifics, some case studies, if you will, or anecdotes that explain your system in operation?
So just to give you part of the reality that we're living now, there are countries that COVID has forced the utilities to change dramatically the way they work. Mm-hmm. It's not only about helping the customers with their bills and giving subsidies and using the government programs, but also we have one customer that they were having a regulation change every 3 days in average, and the only way that they could keep up without hiring hundreds of people just to produce all the information that they need for the government and to comply with all these new regulations was to put automation and do all those things with the system. So just something that is very relevant. We were just presenting this case in one event, and it was really impactful. The things that you can do when you put all those things together.
Some point at which you will have saturated the market when all the low-hanging fruit has been harvested.
Well, this is the opportunity that we have for sure. So we work, every single day to try to make our product better and to take it to the market and to go to other countries and so forth. But we are not alone. We have several other people that are trying to do the same, and everybody has a different angle. So we hope most people can see our success and come with us. But
yeah,
we have tough competition as well, and from all different fronts.
Hernando, I'm going to paraphrase here some of the key benefits that I see, which is really cycle times, right? Work orders, when they were handled manually, they used to take 7 days to fix, and now they maybe get fixed the same day, and everything is faster, and the communication, the flow of information is faster inside the company, but perhaps more importantly, with the customer, right? And tell us a little bit about the transformation of the employees at the utility once they see the deployment of your technology and the benefits getting achieved. How do they I'm sure that not everybody at the beginning is, lovey-dovey, wants to do this thing, and eventually they all fall in love with it. Walk us through that a little bit. How does that? What can you share? How is that happening? Is it happening?
It is. It is, and one aspect of this is the having all the information from this magic triangle that I mentioned about the customers, the meter information, and all the work in one single database reduces enormously the complexities that, for example, the IT people will have. Imagine you will have to do all this. You'll have to simplify at least 3 systems. It's 3 systems that you need to integrate. Data from organized and architected in different platforms, different serial numbers, different identification numbers. So it really requires a big effort to understand what's going on and why one process is not working. When a customer is doing a transaction, he's just transferring his service. And then you have all these nuisances that create issues, and a lot of people have to work on the back end to fix all those things. The experience that we have and where our customers tell us is that having everything together simplifies dramatically their lives. They can pull and correlate data very easily because everything is uniform and there is no duplicity, there's no data losses, all those things.
Right.
From the cost, and that translates to the customer experience. So you have now, and you touch a very important point, Andres, because the workforce is changing. Most of the people that were working, most of the systems that are in place in the utility sector were applications that were put together for Y2K. And you have that the technologies have changed significantly, and those people are retiring. So you have new young workforce getting into utilities that want to work with cool things. They don't want to work with mainframes and in green and black screens. They want to have user experience with modern tools. So that is very, very important for them. And on the other end, the end customers. We have this new generation of customers. The millennials are getting into the business, and they are the users now. And they don't want to they don't want to call a company. They want to solve all the problems using their iPhone. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't even want to send emails. They just want to have an app, interact with the company, have everything done. So this is, when you put all those things together, definitely that, motivates us to invest and to build technology, because only with technology you can solve those problems and give this user experience for the end users of the system, for the customers, and for the people that use that in a day-to-day basis in the utilities.
Yeah. Give me a quick break. Hold those questions real quick. Let me share my screen and remind us of Digital 360 Summit happening next week, August 31st to September 2nd. It will be over 100 speakers, 400 companies, 2 awards, 1 showcase. We will be probably having about 300 or 400 attendees, 20 keynotes, 14 panels. Looking forward to it. These are the companies that have committed to speak and keynote. We're very delighted that they're all agreeing to participate. It's an in-person event. And I want to thank Texas State University for sponsoring the Digital Roundtable. The last thing that I want to share with the audience is that we will have our Sumo Wrestling Championship match between our own Llewelyn King and our own John Sibley Butler. It's going to be on September 2nd at 6 p.m. At the main showcase. You will not want to miss this. So we're looking forward to having you.
Wow.
Gentlemen.
Wow.
We are taking
Gentlemen.
bets. We are taking bets, but it doesn't mean I won't throw the match. Hernando, I would like to ask you a question, which is sort of vague, but I think pertinent. And that is, as we move to more and more data-based systems, technology based on data, etc., do we open up a vulnerability when you have bad actors out there trying to attack us? We have the example in Ukraine when the Russians attacked their electricity system. Because it was old-fashioned, they could manually switch it off. Had it been more sophisticated, they would have lost power across the system. As it was a partial blackout. And I wonder, as we move to more and more integrated systems, as we both know, when you're at the airport, if the computer goes down, you are not going to fly. Not because the air traffic control computer is down, simply the passenger computer. And they don't know how to assign seats or get people through the door without the computer. They've lost the ability to do that. Are we opening up new areas of vulnerability? And do we need new areas and new tools of defense?
Absolutely, we do. And this is happening as we are talking. In the past 10, 15 years, everything is going so fast in cybersecurity. We were 15 years ago, we were thinking on systems that were running on silos and nobody had access to that information. Nowadays, everything is changing. We are producing Llewelyn new releases every month. And there are hundreds of platforms around the system that are being constantly updated, patching, for all these vulnerabilities and adding new tools to monitor 24/7 and in several dimensions, all this infrastructure to have it secure. The good news is that the world is all going in this direction now. With the cloud, we have access to modern tools that are updating every single day. So this is a day-to-day fight. A few years ago, we started our cloud operations, and we have now a complete division of people doing that. And they are working, as I said, 24/7, monitoring, going into the darkest places, being ethical hackers inside our company to do that. So it's a transformation. A few years ago, a cybersecurity event will have only a few hundred people going. In San Francisco, 3 years ago, before the pandemic, we had in the cybersecurity event 150,000 people in the city. So it's a whole new area that is growing. Probably is the fastest growing area in the whole technology sector.
Well, I have a saying about the cloud. It's just the old dumb computer with the server. As we move back to the old ACT5A that I had, where I would log on and write all of my programs, etc. But my question is about looking at the clouds. I mean, looking at what's going on in cyber, if you will, because there are parts, in the World Wide Web that you just cannot see. So when you said the darkest part of the web, how do you get to that point where, look, when it's up there, period, right? And we know that there are different search engines that we allow, and maybe DOD has one search engine, and somebody else has another search engine. So as all of these systems pile up on each other, and as the technology changes so fast, and as your business model will change for data upon data kind of stuff, how do you divide the web? Is it done automatically? Is it done automatically with the knowledge and know-how? How do you divide the deepest part of the web with other things?
Well, this is a never. It's going so fast, John, that that you build on top of giants. So definitely, when we get into what we know today as the cloud, is a combination of technologies and layers. Imagine that like this is an onion that have layers and layers and layers on top of this. So definitely, we have to be very careful with the technologies that we use to support our infrastructure, our databases, our infrastructure. And in each one of those layers, you have security standards, protocols that are continuously, and we have experts that are working on that. So we rely on powerful database management services that is secure. Then when we go to the middleware, the companies that we work with, they are doing their homework there. So we are more concentrated on the application side, and we rely on others. So it's been, comparing that to a mainframe, as you said, where everything was in only one computer in one data center. That was something, from that perspective, easier to manage. Now, the good news is that, with the day-to-day work, now we have much better tools, and we have to build capacities. We have companies, or there are companies that just do monitoring, so they are checking, like in the NASA center, they have those people that are just watching at hundreds of monitors, checking everything, every activity that is going around. Right. So we do our part, and it's a challenge of choosing what to have in the different layers to at the end to have a secure application.
So one other question: how do you view international attacks, international interaction, and how do you view? I mean, we should at the scientific level, I like cooperating with other scholars in different parts of the world. We write papers together. I was a professor in Japan, I was a professor in China. And sometimes that gets sort of cut off. And how do you view the, let's say, war of the attacks? I mean, what can an international group do to America based on how we depend upon our community system today?
Well, I think we are standing. I don't have the answer to that question, and we see, with all those things, we are seeing every other month the news having people from other countries attacking our infrastructure, getting into these firewalls and opening gates for them to attack. So that is very complex and complicated, and as the world is more interconnected, definitely the complexity of this grows is what I can tell you.
It is.
What we do on our little sphere is to make sure that the people that connect to our systems are people that we trust. This access is not given to everybody, and believe it or not, if you find commonly most of the attacks and the problems that are happening in security are because somebody is forgetting the basic principles. Don't click in an email, very basic stuff, right? So with security, you have to. It is from our end, we are technology providers. We do our part, and a big part of this is trying to help our customers to understand the basic preventions that they need to take to run the system safe.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Hernando, tell us. I'm really interested in understanding maybe you guys' thought process. There's a lot of innovative disruptions happening, right? The world wants to get decarbonized. The world's moving from centralized to distributor architectures. The world is getting digitized every day more and more. So there are some things that are really, in my opinion, enablers and accelerators, COVID being one of them, but also communications, 5G, the pervasiveness of 5G being everywhere, talking to devices on the edge of the grid, bringing those devices into your database. The notion of technology like blockchain, and many others. Any comments or thoughts on some of these disruptions, and where do you guys position your company going forward?
Well, that has several dimensions, I think, Andres. On a very basic way, we are seeing a big transformation on the metering side, and the use. So having now we need to. It's not about getting a file from the meters. You need to interact with the meters. You need to be activating services and getting information basically in real time. So if you see where the utilities are today, we're getting a read from smart meter every 15 minutes. From the telecommunication side, 30 years ago, there was a central, the switch was producing a record every 3 minutes for a call. So telecommunications industry is 20, 30 years ahead, if not more, in the Internet of Things and the connectivity with devices. One of the things that we had the opportunity and the chance to working with telecommunications and utilities companies at the same time is have a platform that is designed to work in real time, to get all this vast amount of information and process it as you do with a call. When you are having a prepaid call and you run out of money in your plan, this call will be shut down. So you will not be able to finish that call. Imagine everything that has to be happening for that. So this is what we see happening in the utilities, and that's why I made the example. It's very similar to what we saw happening with all, in the telecommunications industry. So to respond for that, we have built a system that is not based, even though that we handle meters, but we really handle our products. And those products you can create, you can define their characteristics, you can define how to activate those products. The same way that you activate an account on your mobile device or to watch video. We see those things starting to happen in the utility sector. Now everybody's talking about electrical vehicles, having smart chargers that you need to have the intelligence on the devices, and the platforms that govern all this and at the end that will handle the customers will need to have this capability to talk to those devices. So I think this is a smart grid, to your point, is enabling a change that we don't know where it's going to end for the utilities, and this is probably the biggest thing that is out there, and all the data that is being generated and what you can do with this data is a challenge.
Yeah.
So we see more and more connected devices from that perspective. Then you get to the edge of the grid and all the generation, and that creates another layer of change and disruption in the industry as well. So the utilities, have to be prepared to handle all this, to understand the customer needs, to adapt their plans to satisfy them. Solar is growing massively. I think we are all seeing this. And then when you get into get away from the context of the utility and get into the smart cities, then you see probably an endless realm of possibilities that can open there. Imagine, you see these cities that have different departments, and you need to pay your traffic ticket or the parking lot in one area, and you have a different utility bill. Probably that is going to change dramatically in the near future. When you have the cities, you can have technology together to handle all those things. You will be able to charge your car and then pay for, in the supermarket, and then pay for that on your electrical bill, or even do settlement because you are generating electricity that you are injecting to the grid in your house. So those use cases, when you are talking with people that are working on that, we from the technology perspective, we are trying to prepare for those scenarios that today doesn't exist, and probably that will give us the possibility to participate in that future if our platform will be ready for that.
Right.
Yeah, I think we're all under, it's not that we don't know what's coming, it's the learning algorithms have taken over. It is true in marketing. No marketing professional can understand the marketing strategy unless they understand what the data are producing. So every day the data produce certain kinds of network, certain kinds of nodes, how nodes react, and it's all about networking and nodes, neural nodes, network nodes. And so consequently, the learning algorithms are telling the strategists kind of what to do. So it's not that we don't know exactly where we're going, except that when data becomes new, it's real-time update, right, of things that we're trying to predict. So whether or not is who should buy cornflakes, who should buy syrup or whatever have you, then given the data, as people buy syrup and cornflakes, then we have data to know where to direct the ads to, right? So I think that the learning algorithms are taking us to places where we've never been before. And that is no amount of human statistics could produce the outcome. So you're right. The algorithms will take us where we need to go, but we also need some theory so that we can pay attention to some data and don't pay attention to other kinds of data. So theory becomes very, very important. Like I do a lot of big data analysis. Theory, which is just another good term, a hypothesis, guess is another good term for hypothesis, right? We have ways to kind of guess about the future so we can understand the future. So the algorithms are just flying, but we still need to go through the data and figure out how that algorithm will affect what we do in the future.
Yeah. Hesitant as I am to take issue with Dr. Butler, but nonetheless, a couple of things coming out of what John has said today, one of which is the media is not uniting us. We are not getting united. And indeed, we are not getting united, not because the media is disuniting us, but because we are not united. We are remarkably close to Disraeli's world of two nations, where we have those who are in the prosperous nation and those who are in the less prosperous and not prospering nation. Those who are scarcely banked, those who are not in a good situation to use all the marvelous wonders like Uber because they don't have a credit card, for example. And then onto the business of data and what it tells us. Data has some limits in marketing. And having looked at this in terms of publishing over many decades and also in terms of television, data is confounded by what the public wants often. It's not necessarily predictable, whether it's a new kind of song. Could any data have told you how the Beatles would have swept the world? I doubt it. I doubt it that if you put out, when Ross started the New Yorker magazine, if he had said, I want to start a magazine with long articles, squiggly type in the headlines and the bylines at the end of the articles, I doubt that any kind of market analysis would have come up positive. And of course, it was an instant success. It's changed today, but it was an instant success. And I see this all the time. that looking to data to what has been doesn't necessarily tell you what the public wants. That remains a guessing game. And if you guess right, it leads on to prosperity. One of the great successes of recent times has been the introduction into the United States.
I am here. I am back with Andres.
Of Greek yogurt. But Greek yogurt has been around Greece, I imagine, for a couple of thousand years. Nothing new. Nobody had thought to ask Americans whether they wanted it. Or if you had asked them, would they have said yes? But when they tried it, they loved it, and the rest is, as they say, history.
Yep. So true. So true. Hernando, you guys are in 19 countries. You're leading the push into the United States. There are roughly 3,000 electric utilities in the US, 50,000 water utilities, some 1,200 gas utilities. It is a large opportunity. What excites you about it?
Well, that is, it's amazing. So it's a huge opportunity, and the market is very disaggregated in the US. So what we decided is to start with very particular segments. So we're starting with the tier 2 utilities to build our reference cases. That is utilities between 50,000 and 300,000 customers. That would reduce that big list of more than 55,000 utilities to 1,000 utilities. And out of these, we have segmented the utilities where that are looking for technology that can embrace all those things. So this is the market segment that we are looking for. So we are, very selective on the kind of companies that we would like to work with, and it's not only about the size; it's only about what they want to achieve, and because we want somebody that can really use our technology and do something great with it, not only produce bills.
Right.
Yeah, I'm back here. I think that the business model is pretty good. I mean, it's absolutely fabulous. I had to switch from my computer to my telephone, by the way. I was having trouble there. But I think that you are in one of the most exciting spaces, right, in the world. Hernando, your space that you're in can only get better as more data for self-driving automobiles come along.
Mm-hmm.
And and Andres would tell you that all of the self-driving electric cars, or the electric cars, might also be power plants themselves producing data. So we think that EVs are another entry into the power tradition, and we know that certain EVs have already applied to sell electricity in the great state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do know is everything now, and at the digital conference, then I will give a speech on digitization and business models. And can you imagine, as we put cities on platforms and automobiles on platforms, can you imagine how important your business is going to be? I don't even think you can imagine how huge it's going to be. What do you have to say about that, Hernando?
No, that you're absolutely right, John. And this is where everything's all the things come together. Just to summarize it, we are seeing, now that we have the technology, smart meters. We talk about smart meters. We talk about the cloud. We talk about the customer experience. And we have the technology to put all those things together. I think the growth is going to be exponential.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned, you're talking about the data. The amount of data that is going to be generated is humongous. And that will be a complete different foundation for utilities, for the 21st century, actually. So there hasn't been a moment in the past where that the utilities are really needing to transform as today. The growth is exponential. All those needs that will not be just interesting use cases will be part of the reality we are seeing it now. And this is happening faster than everywhere else in the past.
Yeah.
So
if there is a number to use, and there are many numbers, when I was at Austin Energy, when I got there, the entire corporate data set would fit into 40 terabytes. 40. When I left, we were generating 1 petabyte of data. That was in 2010. I suspect that they're now generating roughly 50 petabytes of data.
Easily.
And when you look at the number of transformational megawatts that will be generated to electrify the entire ecosystem, you're talking about a growth that is roughly around 25,000 times. 25,000 times.
Mind blowing.
The current rate.
So
an exciting business to be in, that one of collecting operational data to make customer experience better and somehow homogenize and harmonize all that.
I'm expecting very soon John will have a new repertoire of music for his guitar. It will be love songs to data, that kind of thing. A celebration of I can't take my eyes off my logarithm. I could help with the words even.
Well, I think so. But, we said the same thing about airplanes, and we said the same thing about the automobile. The thing about the data is we're going to need more theory, and that theory is going to be historical and futuristic. I've always said, when you're looking at data, you need to know what the curves were in the past. So the thing about data, especially for business enterprises, is asking how can it be useful. In the old days at Northwestern University, we said garbage in, garbage out, right? Mm-hmm. So unless you have a theory or an idea of how you can utilize the data, and this is why statistics are in the universities, I said it has always been psychology, sociology, and ed psych and economics. That's a statistician. Now they call it data science. And it's interesting that everybody getting into data science, we're getting business schools are getting into data science, and communications getting into data science. But the true data scientists are in economics, sociology, and psychology, because they're the core disciplines for statistics, right? So we have to have better theories about how we can utilize the data in our enterprises. Because what data does, it allows us, like the stock market, it allows us to pick stock. Well, in this case, it might allow us to underwrite things. Can you imagine with me that we would have so much data that they can predict exactly when John Sibley Butler will leave this world and how much the insurance policy should be? Could you imagine so much data on individuals that the mathematics of prediction now becomes a science? It becomes so good that we ourselves can really begin to try to predict the future and the interaction between human beings and logarithms. And that, my friends, is called social physics, that was conceptualized in the 1840s by a guy by the name of Auguste Comte. So it's very, very interesting. Yeah.
I would hope that in all of this, we have some outlet for ideas, that in big, great data-driven institution, there is still a way of seeing or hearing the new idea, because in the end, ideas are transformative.
Yeah, I think, but remember that the ideas we're looking at are the predictive ideas, but you're exactly right. This is why we need good theory, especially in business enterprise, whether it's the airline industry, whether the automobile industry or the paper industry. will have so much data when you sit around a table, you need to be able to say, we're going to do this based on this, given the trends that's coming. And that's what it's about.
Yeah. Gentlemen, unfortunately, we cannot continue. I would love to. We can continue this for hours and hours, but we must come to an end. And I want to thank Hernando for his time and his insights and sharing about his company. I wish him all the best. Hernando, any parting thoughts?
Well, thank you very much. I think that was a great conversation. Love to continue it. And, while we've been talking, a lot of things are sparkling in my mind. So learn a lot from you guys today with your questions and great comments. And thank you for having me here. It will be a pleasure to join you in one of your events in the future.
Excellent.
Thank you, Hernando. You're an exciting man in an exciting field.
You are. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Johnny, take us away.
Well, it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe. It don't matter anyhow. And it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, babe. If you don't know by now, when the rooster crows at the break of dawn, look out your window and I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm traveling on. So don't think twice, it's all right.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, you guys be good.
Bye.
See you guys.
Next
Take
week,
care.
Digital 360 Summit. Send me an email if you want to get in. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's rock. Okay. Bye-bye.